Greetings, Patrick here. Uh, Happy to review 8 Questions With, and welcome to the Friday edition of 8 Questions With. Yesterday was so beautiful and sunny out, and just a perfect Michigan day. And today, well, not so much. We have gotten rainfall. We've gotten steady rain most of the day. Well, that's what you say about Michigan. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes; it'll change. I think actually that was said about San Francisco, but I'm using it for Michigan. All right. Whew. Well, today we have a fun. Hey, there he is. The main man of the hour, our good friend Steven, just came in here to wish us good luck. We're gonna need it tonight because he's got Brett Kelly on his channel. That's gonna be such a fun show. I cannot wait to watch them tear it up. Um, but I got a great guest myself, so I'm not too worried about it because I got Michelle Lynn Blasky here, and she's gonna kick some ass, and I can't wait for it to happen. But if you do like creature features and Ouija sharks, then you need to get over to the House of Horrors right now. Stephen and Brett Kelly, 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Pacific, tearing it up. And I'm so happy. I'm jealous too. What can I say? I am actually really jealous of this. I have been trying for. I have asked Brett Kelly to come on the show 6 times. 6 times I said, Brett, come on, do an interview, and all I got was a wall of noise. Which, if you like Stan Ridgway, that's not a bad thing. But if you're me trying to get an interview with Brett Kelly, hey Rocky, I see you down there, brother. How you feeling? How you feeling? Yeah, we're gonna be talking to Michelle Lynn Blasky, all around multi-talented artist. She's an editor. She's a screenwriter, and she has. I think they are working on. We have to ask her about this, but I think they're working on a fan film for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And it's funny because I just heard this today. Rumblings are coming out that they might be remaking Season of the Witch, probably as a bridge between Halloween Ends and the new Halloween. Hey Amy, how are you? Oh my gosh, how are you feeling? You know I have a spot reserved all for you when you're ready to come talk to us. We have a Amy Crabtree special chair made just for you, and we hope to interview you one day soon. But we're wishing you the best, and glad you're here. Glad you're here. Um, yeah. Why don't you come? Why don't you stay now? Why don't you come on? Why don't you come on up, Stephen? Oh my gosh. Hey, Star Lord, how are you, brother? How are you? Wow, this is awesome. I got such a nice early rush. Now you do know, so Michelle Lynn Blasky. Not only is she a screenwriter, and not only is she a hell of a freelance editor, from what I'm hearing. I cannot wait to talk to her about this Halloween 3, because that's my favorite Halloween movie. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, that's my jam. That's always been my favorite Halloween movie. And Michelle Lynn Blasky is going to be here, and she has anything to do with it, I'm going to volunteer as tribute. I'm going to do whatever she needs. We're there, because Halloween 3 is the best movie of the franchise. And I'll fight anybody on that. I'll fight anybody. John Carpenter, step on up. But actually, it was John Carpenter who loved the idea about Halloween 3. He's the one that came with the idea. He also came with the idea of doing a different Halloween movie every Halloween, not just one story, but multiple stories. Every Halloween there'd be a new movie out based on Halloween. But the powers that be got a hold of it, and they turned it right around and said, "Well, we want a franchise instead." And so we got it. And what's that saying? Be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. And which is why we got Halloween 2018, Halloween or middle, or Halloween ends, Halloween whatever. That's why we got it. But I'm excited because honestly, Fan films these days are lighting it up. They truly are lighting it up. Fan films are no longer something you make in the backyard with scraps from the garage. They are truly. Some of these movies are awesome. They may not have the biggest budgets, but they damn well have the spirit. It's imagine what old Hollywood was like back in the turn of the century, when they were just starting out, right? The silent film era, movies are just being made. That's what it's like now with fan films. You feel like you're on the beginning of watching something evolve. We got tremendous, so many cool movies based on fan films. So, hi, Andre. I see you. Glad you're here. Mr. Dan and Horror is here. Jennifer Pita came back. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow, this is gonna be fun. Uh, sure, you'll bring Brett. Yeah, yeah, come on up. Yeah, Brett wants to come hang out. Yeah, he can do an interview with me right now. Bring him in. Oh yeah. We are having fun today. So not only is Michelle Lynn Blasky a kick-ass editor and screenwriter, but she's also a musician, which follows pretty much the theme of the week here on Eight Questions With, is that we have talked to a lot of musicians. We talked to Rachel Deshane on Monday, and we talked to Michelle Aragon yesterday, and now we get Michelle Lynn Blasky today. So this is going to be really, really fun. I think so too, Amy. You know what they really do, and they're really taking their time, and I think it's really neat. I definitely give credit for Star Trek. Um, I think they probably have done the most to um, advance the fan film, because a lot of the legacy characters started popping up in the series. If you go back to some of the older Star Trek fan films, you see like Nichelle Nichols, you see Yeoman Rand, Grace Lee Whitney, you'll see Walter Koenig and George Takei, and then later on you saw Tim Russ and some others, and by them coming in there, they gave the movie a lot of credit. And credit is due. You got to give the hats off to the studios for not doing what they usually did, like they during the 80s, during the 90s, early 2000s. Whenever someone was trying to do something like this, a fan project, they would rush out a cease and desist letter as soon as they heard about it. And now studios are sitting there and they're not taking that hard line action anymore. Now they're actually advocating it, because now they actually they actually learned something. They learned that I mean, quite honestly, the fans are the reason why Star Trek and Star Wars are still alive. They truly are. It's not so much the movies that made them alive. It was the fan base between movies, between trilogies. That's what kept, between TV series, especially Star Trek. And Star Wars too. Those two, plus other series, have been kept alive with either fan fiction or published books. Um, studios saw by the sales of these books and the demand of these books and the conventions. Oh Lord, the conventions. You hold a convention, you bring out a few of the stars from those series, and they show up. They show up. They stand in line. Um, uh, Not a series. A New Hope. I mean, let's see. A fan film proved the Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight. Oh, okay. From A New Hope. Yes. Okay. Um, yeah, I believe it. I absolutely believe it. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Michelle will be here shortly. She'll be here shortly. So yes, so fan films, as I see it now, they are definitely on the rise. You know, I just wish that there could some way somehow be so that everybody profits, because as much as I love the fan films, it's sort of hard. It sort of makes me sick about how much money they spend on it, and they're not allowed to recoup it. That's what really gets me. I totally get the idea, of making a fan film, but I really believe that the filmmakers should really have a right to have a chance to make their money back. And I've suggested all the time. This is my suggestion: is like, listen, studios, you can keep the first $20,000 they make, right? They make $20,000, you get that. Okay, that's your payment for the movie. After that, you allow the filmmaker to make his money back. He submits to the studio how much it costs to make his movie. It cost me $52,000, and here's the breakdown. Okay, studio makes their money back. Then the filmmaker makes his money back. Then after that, then they split it again, like 70-30, 75-25. So at least the filmmaker will have a chance to make a little bit of money. Because believe me, when you're out there selling this and knowing that you're going to get some of that money coming back to you, you're going to try all that much harder to sell the movie. You're going to, and it's not going to be just like, okay, I made it, here it is, and then you sit back, because what can you do? You can't make money from it. You can't sell it at conventions. You can't sell it privately. You really can't do anything like that, because if the studio catches wind of that, and believe me, studios will send in people to conventions to look for these things. They do that, and don't be fooled that they don't. They do go inside the conventions. They do send people to look to see what vendors are selling. If you get caught selling a bootleg, you're going to get busted for it. You will get busted. We've seen that in our conventions here in Michigan, and they will do that. All right, but on that happy note, let's go bring in the lovely Michelle Lynn Blasky, and let's hopefully talk some Halloween Season of the Witch, because I'm fired up for this. Let's go. Ta-da!
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. How are you?
I am doing great. And how about yourself?
We're pretty excited here today, because I was telling the folks here that it appears to be. I mean, and we're really hoping that I'm not wrong here. But is there any truth to the rumor that you're working on a Halloween 3 movie?
Of course there is. Of course.
Hell to the yes.
I, I would have thought you knew that. That's not a
I,
secret anymore.
well,
Um,
no, we didn't know better. We do now. So now, look at, they're already starting to throw the flames up. They're getting fired
I
up
see a
too.
bunch of people in there. I see Amy Crabtree and Stephen Chang. Hi guys, how's it going? Mr.
We have Mr.
Dan
Dan Horde
Horder.
here.
How's it going? I don't
Andre,
know you, but hello. Andre
this is,
Southgate, how you doing?
he's all the way in New Zealand. Came all the way over
Oh,
came all the way over to watch you.
awesome. Well, welcome. Yeah, I made the third channel. It's a Halloween 3 Season of the Witch fan film. We shot last year. We shot it in the same location as the original Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which was shot in the Eureka, Lolita area, and it's currently in post-production. And I have some news about that stuff as well. We can get into that either now or later, or I don't know how you want to do
You know what?
the.
You know what? I am so excited about this, because Season of the Witch is my jam. That's my favorite Halloween
Really?
movie.
Oh,
Far.
it is the first Halloween film that I ever saw, and I saw it in the theater when it first came out. So I hadn't seen all the other ones. So I had the exact reversal of experience that other people normally have. Like people will see 1 and 2, and then they see 3, and they're like, well, what is going on here? What is this going on? Where's Michael Myers in this? And then they they get upset, which, you know, I guess I can't blame them too much for getting upset that it's not in there. But so when I saw Halloween 3, I just thought it was the name of the movie. I didn't know that there were 2 other, you know, previous films. And I went back and I watched Halloween 2, and I got really excited because I thought to myself, ooh, we're going to find out who this Conal Cochran guy is. We're going to find out how Silver Shamrock started and how did they get the robots and like all this stuff. And I'm like, how did they get Stonehenge? Like, none of that was answered. It was like, oh, Michael Myers. I'm like, okay, who's the Michael Myers guy? So I had to go back and watch part 1 and figure that out. So yeah, again, the reversal.
Yeah, it was you know, it's funny because it was, as you know, it was John Carpenter's intention not to make the same film over and over. He wanted to make it into an anthology series.
Right. That's correct.
Honestly, and I might get some flack for this, but I wish the hell he would have been able to do that. I do. I think he should have been. That would have been really cool. It would have been neat. You know, he could have put elements into it, like, you know, like maybe have the Shamrocks be the background of every movie, and then venture out into different avenues. You know, you gotta have a center point, right? Right. And I think the Silver Shamrock, that would have been it. You know, this year from the Silver Shamrock, open the doors, and there's your new Halloween movie for the year. Instead of Michael Myers.
Right.
Wow, this chat has already taken off. So let me say hello to Watch Waddle is here, saying hello to you. Anthony Marinero is saying, what's going on?
Marinero, is that how you pronounce? I've been saying his name wrong. He made our masks, by the way, for the third channel. I've been saying his name wrong all this whole time. I'm sorry, Anthony.
And of course, the professor just walked in. Co-host of the Midnight Society walked in. Glad you guys are here. Man, you know, honestly, I thought we were going to be in it tonight, Michelle. Honestly, I did. I thought
you thought that we were what now?
We were going to be in it tonight. There's another channel. A friend of ours is doing a channel. He's doing a show. He got a special show tonight too, and he's interviewing director Brett Kelly. And you're into cult films, right? You love cult films.
Absolutely, yes.
So Brett Kelly made a really fun. He's a cool director. Did I say that? I said that. He's a cool director, and he made this really cult favorite film of ours called Ouija Shark. It's beyond silly, but he's a fun.
You said Ouija Shark, like a Ouija board?
Yes, Ouija Shark. It's a shark.
Oh, Ouija Shark. Oh, yeah. You know what? I have heard of that. I
think we all have. It's such a fun movie now. Hi, Katie. So he has Brett Kelly. We've been sort of competing to see which one of us would get a Brett Kelly. We've been doing it for over a year, and so he got him. And but you know what? I said, you know what? Fine, you got him. I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna get a more fun guest. So take that and smoke it. And I did. So there, Brett Kelly. So why Halloween 3? Why not the first 2? Everybody jumps on the first 2 Halloweens. Michael Myers, you know, Donald Pleasance, Loomis. You got the Halloween 2. What was the attraction to Halloween 3? Why did you like that movie so much more than 1 and 2?
Well, I honestly have to say that I'm not against the first Halloween and the original, you know, at all. I mean, I think that there are some wonderful elements in there, and they're one of my favorites as well. Again, I saw Halloween 3 in the theater, so it had that novelty to it. It was an experience, so like way back in the days when people went to the movie theater. We went into this really dark area and we sat in a seat, and then it's the screen up in the front. So, you know, I have to be honest. There's so many elements of Halloween 3 that I absolutely loved. I was blown away with it. I just, you know, sitting in the theater with my younger self, and I love the music. I absolutely love the lore, like the Celtic lore. Like those are my favorite things. And Conal Cochran is such a strong character, you know, in my personal opinion, played by Daniel O'Herlihy. And, you know, I like a lot of the ideas that were coming out in that film, gosh, I don't even know where to begin, to be perfectly honest, but there's a lot of stuff mixed in there with like ancient lore and the pharmaceutical companies in the world, because you have that whole doctor-patient element, and like behind the scenes kind of stuff that you don't really know what's happening, commercialism, like what are we really giving our kids? And there's just like a lot, and I mean, a lot of things in there that I wouldn't have, like when I was younger, I saw it and I was blown away with it. But now as an older adult and going back and watching it and, kind of doing, like analyzing it more. I mean, there's so much in there.
Yes.
And you asked why I had chosen this film. It kind of chose me to do a fan film, to be perfectly honest. I used to live in California, and I was living in the desert at the time. And one night I went to bed and I had this really weird dream. I mean, it was all about the like a continuation of Halloween 3. And it just came out of nowhere. And I got up the next day, and it was kind of horrifying, to be honest with you. There were some elements in there that I kind of felt like, ooh, that's kind of scary. And even though I didn't really have like the whole thing written in my head, there were certain things when I got up first thing in the morning, or afternoon, or whatever time it was. I went to work and I started writing everything down in the book. And I have like a whole big book of it, a notebook of just notes and things that, everything, just putting things together. Like, what does this mean? What are these symbols? What could I do here? How should it end? Who's going to be the lead character? What could we do with this? And so it was like a continuation or an ongoing thing of my writing it. Isn't
the first one have a lot of Celtic lore in it? A lot of Druid? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I don't want to spoil things too much, but we definitely bring a lot of that back. Now one of the actors that we got playing the role of O'Foylan, his name is O'Foylan in the film. He's a I can't really spoil it too much, but he is a native of Ireland. He's from County Cork, Ireland, which is the same exact place that Daniel O'Herlihy is from. And we have him playing the role because, and believe me, I tried getting someone here in the States to do this, to fulfill this, jump in this character and, jump in the boots and fulfill this character. But everybody that I auditioned messed up on the accent, because you got to have that. Right. That Irish accent. And if you don't, you sound like a leprechaun. Let's just be honest. You're gonna sound like a leprechaun.
Yeah, I love you. I love what you did with it. I love when I do a leprechaun fan film, I'm calling you. Okay.
Oh man.
So it was hard. It was hard finding the character.
It was, and he kind of just materialized out of no place, because he and I are both on, I believe it's called Halloween 3 Appreciation Facebook group, if I'm not mistaken. But I met him through one of those, and he just approached me and said, "I hear you're making a Halloween 3 fan film. Would you consider?" And of course, he's from Ireland, and I thought, well, I don't know how we're going to get you here. Maybe we can do something remotely. And he was like, well, you don't have to worry about that. So I was like, okay, let's talk.
And he did the audition and nailed it?
He nailed it. He more than nailed it. I mean, he's like the perfect O'Foylan. In fact, he had, believe it or not, there were some things that I had written into the script, and he actually had already in his own possession a few of these items. like pendants and things like that. And the wardrobe, because he's kind of like, I wrote him as a little bit of like an Irish dandy kind of guy. And he's like that. Like he'll sit there and, you know, he'll smoke, and like he's got the bowler hat and the really nice duds like wearing, and just like his charisma is exactly O'Foylan.
Now, did you advance your story, or did you pick it up at the end of the Halloween 3 movie?
Oh goodness,
Oh,
I don't know if
okay.
I can answer that. I don't know if I can answer that. But I mean, I don't know if you've seen the preview. We had the trailer. It's pretty obvious that it is a continuation.
Okay. Amy mentions Brendan Hayes is the name of the Irish actor that's in the third channel.
Yes.
He's phenomenal. Yes. I mean, honest to God, I feel sort of silly about saying this, but I'm honest. I did not. You know, it wasn't until I was doing my research that I found this out. You know, because I was just like, because I was going to ask you about the movies you screen wrote, and then you're an editor, and then you're a singer. So I was getting ready for that, and then I was doing my research, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, holy cow, she's doing a Friday the third Halloween 3 movie. I'm all in with that. I got really excited. I was like,
well, cool.
Because that's my favorite one by far.
I love the music. I love Alan Howarth, John Carpenter's contribution when they teamed up and did that. That soundtrack is just amazing. By the way, we have an amazing composer by the name of Keith McCoy. And I don't know if you know of his work, but Keith McCoy did a tribute soundtrack. It was called Tribute to the Witch, I believe. It's like a tribute to John Carpenter, and it's off of Rustblade Records. You can type in his information and find any of his work. He's doing our music. He's done a lot of the music that's in the trailer. That's his stuff. I mean, I'm really, really happy and excited that we're working with him. Again, I had to kind of reach out to, some of these people and was like, hey, do you, I hear, because sometimes it's like, I don't know how people are going to respond. And he was like, yeah, I would be really down for that. So he's part of the project.
Yeah, that's I was talking about this before you got here about that, and I was just, I love fan films. I mean, they come in such a long way. Before it was just, before it was just such a labor of love, and they've gotten better and better throughout the years. And right before you came on, you're in time, Jamie. You're in time. We're just talking about Halloween 3. Yes, you know what? Star Wars, we're getting to that. Trust me, we're getting to that. So I think fan films now, Michelle Lynn, I mean, tell me what you think too. I think they've advanced so much now. I think now when
the equipment has advanced. A lot of the things that people are shooting on right now have advanced in a lot of ways, and so it does. A lot of those things do have like polished looks now, and it's great to see fans doing this because sometimes the studio, let's be fair, sometimes the studio just doesn't get it right. No. When they're trying to make something, they're kind of trying to do it for money, and all of these films that are coming out by fans are just from the heart, So.
The thing that bothers me, and this is something that I'll put to the chat too, and I'd like to hear your feedback as well, chat. Like I was saying this, I was thinking, before fan films, as soon as anybody would mention they're making a fan film, the studio, whoever owned it, would immediately put out a cease and desist. I mean, they were not friendly. They're not friendly toward those films at all. They
really did that?
Yes. Oh, why do you think? What do you think fan films are only now beginning to be seen the light of day?
I don't know.
If you research the fan films, you didn't see very much of anything. Not in the 80s, certainly not the 90s. Maybe a few, maybe in the early 2000s. It's gotten more and more each year because the studios have realized that with social media, with the aspect of it, you want to dominate the search engines. That's what you want. You want to dominate. So whether it be, so let's say you're not making a Halloween movie. Let's say you're sitting there, okay, well, my Halloween, I just did Halloween Ends. So I don't know what we're going to do because we're going to have to let the property rest for a while. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are you going to do to put between that and, the hole between that and the next studio project? Fan films. Pop-up search engines. There you go. Mm-hmm. Halloween. You're still in the public eye. You're the name and the characters are all still in the public eye. Fan films do that. If they do their part. If you sat there and you crushed everyone and said, no, you can't do it. It's a desert. And in this modern day and age, being in a desert now is not always a good thing to be. And it's not a good place to be.
I love the desert.
Studios don't. Because then you go ahead and then you start, you try to restart a franchise with too far apart. It doesn't always work out so well.
Right.
People have moved on. They found other projects. The thing about it is, though, even when you're not making something, even when you don't have a product out, you're still keeping the name alive. Star Wars and Star Trek, that's the only reason I really do believe this. Especially for Star Trek, that's the only reason why they survived is because of the fans keeping the name alive. Mm-hmm. Keeping it going. People, because everything, how it is today. What have you done for me? What have you done for me lately? And who's the new kid on the block? Right. And if you don't have anything new and fresh to offer them from the studio, oh yeah, we're going to drop $50 million. Look at how they're doing their properties today, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they're filling up with their new properties. IP. They got to put their IPs out every other year or every year just to keep their name in the public eye.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, what fan films are doing is kind of like free advertisement for them. I mean, they don't have to do as much. They don't have to work as hard,
No. Hey, if some guy wants to spend $100,000 making a brand new Friday the 13th movie, who the hell am I to say anything about that? But my point is with these studios, what they need to do is be fair. And that is, listen, how much money did you spend to make your movie? I used this before you got here. Okay, well, I made a Halloween 3 movie. I made it for $60,000. Okay, and here's all my breakdown of all my expenses, everything I spent on the movie. Here it is.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So let's say that happens. The studio should be able to come up there and sit there and say, listen, this is awesome. And we're going to let you sell it. Mm-hmm. Okay. But here's how it's going to break down. We get the first $30,000. Okay. Because we get the first 30,000. Then you get the next 60. That way you recoup your money back. And believe me, if you're allowed to sell these movies, you'll make your money. With an IP like Halloween, you'll make it back. Mm-hmm. If you're allowed to sell it, you'll make it back.
Right.
After you get that money back, then it's 75-25. Mm-hmm. Or 70-30. That's fair. Mm-hmm. And that way you're both making movies. You're both making profit. You made back your production costs. They get a cut of their property. Because it is theirs, right? And then after you recoup your production, then you guys both go into it making money, and however much money the studio wants to put in behind it, I would think a little bit more money because they're making 75% of the cash. I would think that they would try to promote it a little bit more on your behalf, and then everybody wins. You win because you know what? No fan wins with making their money. Us making their movie. It's just, I know it's a labor of love, but you got to be able to make something back of it. It's no good going aside debt. I spent $100,000 on my movie. Well, how are you supposed to get the money back? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you can make. I guess from what a few people have told me, I mean, I guess you can make funds from like selling merch and stuff like that too. It's kind of a fine line though. So
It is. Because studios, they send out people to some of the biggest conventions. We had one, the Motor City Comic Con, a few years ago, and the FBI raided it, looking for bootleggers.
Motor
And
City, are you from Detroit?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
from Detroit.
Oh, really? Where
I'm
are you
wearing a
based?
Detroit shirt, actually.
Oh, wow. What part of Detroit are you in?
Well, I'm not in there now.
Oh,
I was born in Detroit, actually.
well, I was actually born in California, but I've been out here for the last 24 years. So, I
you were
went to
born in okay, so you're from California originally.
yeah, but I've lived here the
Gotcha.
last 24 years. Yeah, and you're in California now, right?
I'm no longer in California right now. I'm in a undisclosed location. No, I'm in Texas.
Texas, okay.
Yeah.
Well, working on the next project.
I am working on a couple different things. I am.
So that's I think that I think fan films are in a really good spot now. I just think that studios need to relax a little bit more and allow the filmmakers to allow them to make their money back. Look, every studio, like when you did your movie, did you hear from the studio at all when you made your movie?
No. I mean, I didn't reach out to them either.
Yeah. I think it's it's like anything else that writes, like you see people writing Star Wars books or authorized Star Wars books or what have you.
Right.
A lot of them will sit there and say, listen, as long as you don't do these core things, like you can't kill off a major character, major character cannot do this action or anything else like that. As long as you stay within that little area, they're good. That you can do whatever you want. We're gonna have Halloween 3. We're gonna kill Michael Myers. That would probably get you a no. But
right.
I think if you sit there
I
and
already did that.
I just think if you continue the story, and then and within the parameters, who's getting hurt by you making a movie?
Oh, exactly. I mean, there's lots of material. There's lots of material that you can go in there and kind of cookie cut what you want to write.
Exactly. Now, was Halloween 3 your first crack at screenwriting?
No, actually, I mean, I've wrote a couple different things, and there's a couple different things I have, that I'm currently writing right now. One is a slasher musical called We Are the Masked. And my partner and friend, John Alton, who did the music for Sleepaway Camp, he's helping me write the music for that as well. When I was a student at AI, I made a little film called Jimmy, and it was like a short film. I can find it and send it to you if you want.
Yeah, I'd love
put
to.
up the links or something. I did actually send you a link to the trailer for the third channel in your private chat.
Okay.
Just a little minute ago. I can add that too as well. And when I was in high school, going way back, I made a film called it was called The Witching Hour, and it was terrible. It was terrible. Talk about people who don't know the accents. The film was supposed to take place in the 17th century, and it was a witch burning kind of thing. And this one actor that we got, he changed his accent 3 or 4 times, and we tried entering it in the film festivals and didn't won. it was believe me, it was awful. But it was I can walk away from that and say I've learned some things about that.
Okay, that's what I love about short films.
Yeah,
you cut your teeth and learn from them.
Exactly. But and then it's funny that you mention that fan films, are really kind of getting their recognition, now in present day. when I was in high school, I had some friends in school that I had friends. um, we would get together and we had like a Michael Myers mask, and you know, I had somebody dress up like Michael Myers and like chase us and stuff like that, and tried to edit it with like 2 tape decks, and people thought we were in the duplication process. But you know, it was just kind of funny that it's like I've been kind of making fan films all my life, but I didn't really know what they were called. I made another film called Freddy's Sister, which, you know, a friend of mine at the time, she played this character who was getting possessed by Freddy, and she, you know, ended up supposedly being like his sister or a relative or something, and just kind of silly stuff like that. And I made some shorter films. I made a little thing called Dreams. What the heck did I call it? Dreamscape Terror or something like that. I would have to look and find it, but just friends, like making like a little skit, and then me coming back and editing it, and, you know, making it look kind of sort of like a regular film, if you will.
So you were cutting your teeth.
What's that?
You were cutting your teeth.
Cutting your teeth.
Yeah, you were learning.
Yeah, I was.
Learn by doing.
And the funny thing about it too is that I shot with, it was at the time it was called a Quasar. It was like a camcorder where you had like the actual camera part, and then you had a separate system that hung over your shoulder that housed the tape. So, I mean, it kind of almost looked like these things that like 80s reporters would like carry around with like,
Right.
you know, Action News or something. And that thing was heavy.
It was. I know exactly.
I mean, yeah, we had to do things way back when I was a kid. Like if you wanted to do things, you had to really do. You had to be really creative in how you got stuff done. So.
And the film itself was so expensive.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, it was still shot on videotape, like, you know,
that still was
like
expensive.
VHS, but
it still was expensive back then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I did, by the way, this witching hour film that I made, it was partially shot on 16 millimeter. And then the rest of it was shot on digital. And then that was, you know, interesting to edit.
Watch Waddle says he still has Quasar tape.
Hey,
and Amy said that the Quasar camcorder, she had one.
Oh my God. I those things were, I guess they were a little bit more popular than I thought. But yeah, Watch Waddle, he actually has a play in the third channel. He does these comic strips. I'm trying to, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the name of the character. I think it's called Waddle the Duck, right? Am I getting that correct? There's some interesting stuff in there with the third channel that he's done.
Third channel, an anthology movie, Michelle?
No, it's not an anthology.
Okay.
It's like a separate original. It's kind of an original script to Halloween 3, like a continuation of it.
Okay, and he's saying that, yep, he's Waddle in that movie.
Yes. Yep. It's a cartoon.
When did you for the third channel? I mean, you said you had a dream. You woke up, and all of a sudden you were inspired to start making the film. So
Mm-hmm.
how did you get that rolling?
Oh goodness. Well, so while I was on the desert, it was actually, I'm trying to remember. It was a little bit before the pandemic started, but I just remember like all that I really did was I went to work and I came back and I didn't really have a whole lot of stuff to do because you're not supposed to go out and do stuff. But our associate producer, Steve Merlo, who did the Sawyer Massacre, he got me started on the whole Indiegogo thing, which I didn't know. But he was doing like a lot of lives and things like that for his campaign to get that funded. And I was tuning in a lot to that stuff and seeing what he could bring to the table. And he had a lot of really great ideas. So he and I began working on how to, to do the Indiegogo for the third channel, because he's a really big Halloween 3 fan as well. So he did a lot of really great. He had a lot of really great ideas and a lot of really good help from Steve. So, and he brought me to the table with a lot of people that he knew too. So
yeah, Steve's a powerhouse. He was I had him on as a guest here.
Mm-hmm. I see he's in the audience.
And he's really good at finding talent. That guy's got a real good eye for that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's like, if he was into music, he'd be a great A&R guy.
He is into music.
Well, I mean, he'd be A&R. He'd be ones finding the bands. He's got a real good eye for talent, and that's cool that you worked with him. So you're able to, go through the ins and outs of making your film. Raising the money is obviously the hardest thing with any project.
Oh yeah.
Did you have a hard time raising the money for Halloween 3? Was there a great response for it?
There was a really great response and a lot of interested people and a lot of support. That was one thing that I actually worked with Steve on as well, because he has so much more experience with that. I could have done better, but it was kind of my first time out the starting gate, and I probably could have done a lot better than I did, but we ended up with what we ended up with. But the supporters that got behind us, we had some really great supporters. So, I mean, I definitely thank all those people that did chip in and help out. And even some of the cast and crew chipped in too. So,
yeah. Where did you shoot the film at? I mean, Halloween, your Halloween movie. Where did you shoot it at? Did you shoot it in Eureka?
I sure did.
Wow,
that's what I was saying at the beginning of the conversation too. I kind of talk quickly sometimes, but we shot in the same factory and everything, like the Silver Shamrock factory. You'll see that in the third channel. We shot on the Lita. We shot in parts of Eureka. So yeah.
How did you choose your cast for that?
Put out a casting call. I mean, a lot of the people that were coming through with the Indiegogo too. Some of those people were reaching out to me, and just word got around. I reached out to local talent, reached out to people I knew, so on and so forth.
Did you reach out to any legacy characters? I know that.
Oh God, goodness!
Still around, and Stacey Pelican is still around, I think.
Well, I was actually going to get to that earlier. So we were actually fortunate enough to get Wendy Westberg, who played the coroner in Halloween 3. She's the gal that played, I think it's in the toxicology office when her and Dan Chalice are talking, and he's like, "Do you still have that?" Da, da, da. And we don't know what that something was. We got her, and we also got Brad Schechter, who played the original Buddy, who is the same kid that wears the mask and gets his face mauled off when he's watching the commercial.
Right. How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
Man, now do you feel you're a good casting director? I mean, did you cast it all personally yourself?
Oh God, I did the whole. I mean, almost all of the casting. I mean, there were a few people who brought certain people to me, but Everything else was just all pretty much myself. And I know Amy Crabtree and Steve Merlo kind of helped facilitate some of that too. I mean, they made recommendations about different people, and then those people made recommendations and so on and so forth and down the line. But I pretty much...
I heard that Amy Crabtree is a dynamite.
Excuse me.
Here's dynamite. That's just what I heard.
She's wonderful.
She really is.
A heck of a promoter for sure.
Love you,
but no,
Amy.
I think I remember sending out a message to Brad Schechter and thinking like it's one of those things where you like, you know, you write your name on a piece of paper and you throw it into a hat and you're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to hear from. And, you know, and like one day I was like walking back from the store and I got a message out of no place. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of it. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God. So.
Oh, wow. That is so much fun. So you got the casting. What was your initial budget? What were you trying to raise for the movie?
We were trying to raise a whole heck of a lot more than we actually got. But we shot it for, I would say, a little bit under 15,000. I want to say
that's a pretty fair amount of change there.
Something like that.
That's not bad at all. I mean, at least, and you raised it. So, and I know you put some out of your pocket too. I know.
Yes, I did.
All right. Any good filmmaker knows that. Every good filmmaker will do that. But tell me, I'm not going to ask you how much you donated, but or put in there. But I'm going to say you didn't put in all of it, right? You put in this.
Oh God, no.
Okay, good.
No. I mean, there would be no way I could do that.
No, I was just listening to another podcast, and I overheard one of the filmmakers talk about how he basically went into $50,000 debt for his movie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's just like that's what I was talking with you earlier. It's like, you know, I get the love for a movie, but I don't really like the idea of you turn around and spending $50,000 and going inside debt. You know, your house is on the line or shit like that. You know, I just don't. I mean, if you could sell the movie, by all means, you know, you go make it, gamble for it. But man, you know, how are you going to do that without anybody catching you? You would have to drive around with your trunk open, selling it one by one. And see, this is to me, this is where studios need to come in there and go like, you know what, you know, we're going to allow you to, you know, you go ahead, here, show me all your expenses. We're going to take an initial cut, then get your money back. So that way they're not discouraged. Because a lot of these fan films, you know, like you already know your movie's gonna be kick ass. I don't even have to say any more than that. That way you get to see.
Well, go see the trailer.
I'm gonna put the trailer in. I'm gonna see the trailer, and man, you know, I think I have something here. Let me see. I think I got something here. I can show you.
Okay.
Let's see. Just to let you know that I'm down.
Oh, we have the same pin.
That's right. So I'm with you. I'm excited. So I will show that trailer, and I will be sitting there in your ears for the next few weeks.
There's a few different trailers. There's like we have 3 of them all together, and the first one I went out and I shot by myself on location in Lolita, you know, just by myself with like just I think I used like just like a little like video camera or something like that. It wasn't anything special. But we shot Black Magic on the whole you know, the film of you know, not the trailer, but I mean, the trailer, the newest trailer has footage of the third channel in it. So that stuff is professional, but the other stuff that I shot with like just a regular, you know, consumer brand camera. So
well, let me ask you this question, Michelle. So you know, obviously you're a big Halloween fan, and you watched the last 3 movies that came out. Halloween 2018, Halloween, the middle, Halloween the end.
Yeah.
And it teased mightily in the middle movie. It teased that maybe, and I thought this is what was going to happen. This is how I thought Halloween was going to end, because they threw Easter eggs for Shamrock all over the place in the middle of the movie. So for the third movie, I actually thought, okay, they're gonna bring in the Season of the Witch. They're gonna bring that in or bring it into the universe. And I thought, man, I was so excited to see Halloween Ends, because I thought it was gonna be, I thought they were gonna be able to have the best of both worlds. Jamie Lee Curtis, she gets away, and Michael Myers is in castle. He's stopped, but he's not destroyed. He's stopped, but he's not destroyed. So you get both. You get Jamie Lee Curtis's character riding out in the sunset, and because she thinks that she's defeated Michael. Michael maybe has his mind wiped, and he gets to go up and does something else on his own, and you can both have both characters walk away. I really thought that was going to be for the third movie. I thought that was going to be they were going to fight at the Shamrock. Go there to stop him. Because he had the mask on, and they implied that it was being controlled by the Shamrock.
I have to be honest. When I first saw Halloween 3 in the theater, and then I saw Halloween 2, in my mind like connected those two as like the assassins, were the same thing as Michael Myers. The assassins that they had running around, well, they didn't run around, but, in Halloween 3 was basically like Michael Myers, except Michael Myers had a mask. Because, I just thought, in my childhood mind that, Michael Myers was a robot or something.
Okay.
That he had come from the Silver Shamrock. Because, it's like, where else would he have come from? The movie before that was this, and I don't know.
I thought they could have brought in both worlds. Star-Lord's mentioning she chops Michael's heads off and it lands in a clover field. That's a really, that's a real subtle Easter egg right there. Because we know that Silver Shamrock can bring him back, because they're witches, they're powerful witches, they're warlocks, they're alchemists. Combine science and magic. They could have did that and made it work. And they both, like I said, it was just so disappointing to see that she teased all that during the middle movie, and then Halloween End comes up there, and there's absolutely zero reference. It was just, and who
knows what Blumhouse is gonna do with any of that? They could still try to piece stuff together, and years later.
Well, did you hear? I just saw this today, Michelle. I just saw today that they're talking about remaking Halloween 3.
We've been kind of hearing that off and on.
Yeah, I think they want to use that as the bridge.
Yeah,
they want to use that as the bridge between Halloween Ends and the next cycle of Michael Myers. So I can see them coming about with a Halloween 3 sequel to come up there to keep it going. Or to connect the two franchises, because Michael Myers is dead. How are you going to get him back alive?
Right.
Well, we're going to need our friends from the Silver Shamrock to bring him back. That's
right.
How. So
exactly.
Yep. Okay. All right. By this time, a long time ago, I would have already been asking you about how you got your start. So, an hour into the interview. So let me go back to that. To find out where were you born and raised at?
Detroit, Michigan. Michigan, southeast Detroit. Detroit. Next to the Boblo boat.
Okay.
And the Ambassador Bridge. You could see it from the house.
My gosh. Yes. So you were that far.
Dearborn, Delray area. So.
Mexican town. Still has the best food. Still has the best food in the city, by the way. So the Ambassador Bridge, yes. So what was it like growing up in Detroit for you as a child?
I have some fond memories of growing up in downtown Detroit. My family and I would go to Boblo Island when Boblo Island was there. We went to see shows at Cobo Hall. Way back in the day, they had all those movie theaters like the Adams, the Fox, United Artists, all those places down there were just wonderful places. And those were like actual real like theaters that had plays at one point that you would go in and just be this like minuscule piece of dust like floating in and watching and seeing this big huge screen, and felt like you were so small and like the whole world was right in front of you. I had like some really great like childhood friends too that I lost touch with, but just really great experiences. I mean, growing up and going trick-or-treating in that area was always fun. It was always Devil's Night.
Oh my God! Did you have to go through Devil's Night?
Well, I mean, I didn't go to it. I mean, I know that it happened.
You were there when it was a thing, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, there were times when my parents were like, "Well, we gotta let's be careful and check your candy," and
yeah, still gotta do that today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you usually trick or treat at? Just downtown area?
Just in the neighborhood. I mean, we lived on Dearborn Avenue, and just around in that area. I mean, we didn't go to we didn't go to like Royal Oak or anything to get the good candy.
Well, that's what they do here. They
let's go to Sterling Heights. They got the
they do that here. They roll in from Detroit down here. I'm in Canton, so we had it there. We've had you look outside and you see like 4 or 5 big old vans roll up, and God bless them, and we're glad to do it. It was a safe neighborhood. They didn't have to worry about the candy, and the kids were really excited to be there. So it was more power to them. I was always jazzed.
One thing I will say too that I remember is that I don't remember exactly where they had these. I want to say that they were at the precincts, because I can't imagine where in the world they would have something like this. But they had like the X-ray machines, and you would bring your bag of candy, and they would send it through to make sure that there weren't any razor blades or like knives or anything in there.
That's how it is in Detroit, boys and girls. Yeah, they have a portable X-ray machine.
Oh
and
my
they have
God!
They have a portable X-ray machine set up at the police station, and you can bring down your candy and stuff, and they went through it and X-rayed it. Yeah,
I don't remember getting anything bad, but it was an experience that you don't have that experience today. I mean, you just don't. I mean, I don't know.
Devil's Night is actually pretty mellow now. You don't have, it's not like you can look outside and see the whole sky aflame. It's a lot less now. Well, part of it is because there's not much left to burn.
That too. And I found out recently that the city of Detroit came in and bulldozed my entire childhood neighborhood. So there's nothing there anymore. I mean, they even tore down the Fisher Body water tower and everything. And
it's Bell Island's a ghost town. It's pretty down. It's only downtown proper that is it's still benefits from everything. I mean, they moved the Pistons downtown, the Wings they're downtown. I mean, they moved all got all the casinos. It's the outer neighborhoods that are still fighting the good fight.
Oh
yeah. So but all the movie theaters, the Fox is still there. The Fox is still here.
Right. I know that the Fox is still there. Yep.
What's the last time you visited Detroit?
I left Detroit. Well, I left the Michigan area. I think it was back in 2008. I want to say.
Okay. I got here in '99.
Okay. So did you growing up, is that what you did? How old were you? I mean, what did you watch on TV? What inspired you to become a filmmaker and screenwriter? I mean, what
did that come before you started to sing, or did you start singing before that?
Yeah, let me back up and say that when I was growing up in downtown Detroit, I only lived there until about the age of like I think 11 or 12, and then my family and I up and moved to Maine because my mom's side of the family is from Detroit, from Bangor, Maine. So I grew up like literally a couple blocks down from Stephen King.
Okay.
And my dad met Stephen King in Rite Aid. I mean, apparently he's just like an average Joe guy. I mean, nobody runs up to Stephen King and asks for an autograph or anything crazy. Everyone's kind of respectful and chill. And you know, if I were to say like what actually got me into film, I'd have to say my sister and my dad, because you know, my dad would always point out things like in movies where he would say, well, look, you know, and we'd have like the VHS, and we'd have to like rewind it to show me what he was talking about. But you know, like continuity stuff, like if an actor had was holding a glass in like one scene, and then they cut, and then the glass is gone or something, and like stuff like that kind of just like provoked me, I guess, to like do better. I guess like if I was a filmmaker, I wouldn't put that in there. I'd make sure that the person wasn't, you know, if the glass is there, it's going to be there.
Right.
And my sister and I, we would go and see like all these horror movies, you know, that came out, like Pieces, Girls Night Out.
Nice. Oh, cow.
Well, actually, let me back up and say, like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the first horror movie. Well, it was the first film that I had ever seen in the movie theater when it came out.
How old were you when you watched it?
I don't know, probably like 1 or 2, something like that. I don't remember if it was like if it was the first run, or if it was brought out, you know, a few years later or whatever. But I mean, it was like I was young.
what was the first horror movie that you watched that you were able to understand what was going on the screen?
I'd have to say, I mean, other than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was pretty much like the first horror movie that I went to see in movie theater, I would have to say Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And that film scared the living out of me. Like that scene at the end with the guy that's the banjo player guy, and he's like a dog head. Like every time that would come on, like, and it happened, like they would play it like every year. And I remember, like, I knew that scene was coming up, and every time that scene came up, I was like this. But then you'd always like see the part of it. I mean, like, no, I can't. Like, nightmares, and oh
my gosh, yeah. Donald Sutherland when he comes down the stairs, and Veronica Cartwright's thinking that, you know, she's, you know, like, and then he just points at her and starts screaming. It was just like, holy shit,
right?
Man, that was just it was so 70s though. Right. I mean, you never got a happy ending in a 70s horror movie. You never did.
And the special effects, I don't know what type of effects they used, but gosh, I mean, that stuff looked really, really, really good. I mean, the effects were just amazing. I mean, they looked real. I mean, like, you just don't get that. And it's funny because I had seen like V, the TV series. And I remember that scene where she's like giving birth to the alien and it comes out. Like that gave me nightmares. Like that was really scary to me as a kid watching that. But then like years later, I watched it again. I was like, am I going to have it? And it's like, it looks like a doll. It looks so fake. I'm like, how did that scare me?
It did. But there's a trivia question to that movie. There's a trivia question in that V, in that doll, and that birth of that lizard. There's another movie. There's another movie that used that same doll.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Anybody know what it is? Anybody remember that scene from V? They had a doll. You're right. They had the birth of the doll, and but it came in another movie in the 70s.
Before or after? Movie. Before or after?
Came after. And it came, and it's very well known. It's like once I say it, everybody go, "Oh yeah, of course." I'll give you a hint that Roger Corman had his hands in it. Oh my gosh, I remember that.
It wasn't Shivers, was it?
No, that was Cronenberg.
Oh yeah,
right. Oh my gosh, come on! I'm the one that's supposed to be not having a horror channel. And good guess, Amy, but it wasn't Alien. You guys are gonna laugh when I tell you. You guys are gonna sit there and go, oh, really? And go back and watch it. It's the same damn figurine. It really is. Humanoids from the Deep.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's so good.
That's why I didn't know. That's why.
B movie goodness. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that movie was goofy, but fun. Yes. You have to go back and watch Humanoids from the Deep. It is a fun movie. Probably a little bit. Some of the stuff probably wouldn't get done today, which would be a shame because it worked for the movie. But yeah, how fun is that? I love V too. V was the shit. Mm-hmm. The first time where the bad girls were like way hotter than the heroine, and then of course,
right.
And V also gave us Michael Ironside.
Right.
I mean, that should be immortalized right there. Mm-hmm. For if anything else, it was like V was great because they gave us Michael Ironside.
Whatever happened to Mark Singer?
Oh, I don't know what happened to him. God, he was supposed to be the Cat Meow, and then he did V, and then he did the Beastmaster movie, and after that he pretty much dried up.
That's right, Beastmaster.
Yep, I did that one with Tanya Roberts. He ended up doing the syndicated show. They had him come on for the last season. Oh man, I love that. Amy says she was obsessed with V as a kid. Me too. Oh my gosh,
the music was great too. I loved it when that music started, and I was like, "Oh no, it's coming on!"
I was really bummed that they brought it back in 2009. I think they tried.
It was oh my god! Like I tried watching that, I just.
I saw Monica Baccarin was there, and I was like, I had high hopes, and then they said they're going to bring back Jane Badler as her mom, the throwback, and then they got rid of her like almost instantly, and it was just like, wait a minute, we came to watch her, but you already killed her off. Yeah, we're checking back out. Where do we pick up a car at?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I think it only lasted like 2 13-episode seasons before they pulled it.
Amy says the lizard people music.
Yes. Oh my God! Yeah.
No, I got the music stuck in my head.
And of course, Independence Day owed everything to V with the motherships.
Oh God. They did that with everything. It's just like, oh man.
Oh man, V was awesome. 70s goodness at its best. So what was okay, so now how old were you when you first got into music? Because you have a band.
I got into music actually kind of later in life. I mean, although it was always kind of a love of mine. I grew up watching the Osmonds. So that's a little scary secret that's even scarier than any horror movie that you'll ever watch.
I survived. You should put that as your pin. Forget the. Well, you already got the Shamrocks. You should put the Osmonds right above it.
Oh yeah, like Captain Purple or something.
The Osmonds. I survived. Did you?
Oh man, no, I still love that. I do. I still love their music and everything. It's still a big part of me, or whatever. That I love their show. I wish that there was more variety type stuff.
Me too.
That's still, it all goes back to, watching things like that, because a lot of those shows, I mean, that was like pure, like vaudeville. I mean, if you made a mistake, so you're gonna be. I mean, you can't, like go back and edit that out. So people were pretty talented back then, much more in some respects than what you can kind of get away with today. But I started making music, I guess, when I was in college, like after I got out of college, back in the 2000s, kind of sort of. That was when I started Magenta 6 when I was in Lansing, Michigan. After that, I was in a band called Anoxic. It was like a metal band. And by the way, I could not for the life of me, when I first started out, I tried so hard, like screaming, and it just wasn't there. And all these bands I was like trying out for, and like people I was trying to work with, and I was like, yeah, this is what I'm trying to do. And, I would always kind of fall short on that. And someone had recommended to me, I don't remember who it was, but someone had recommended Melissa Cross to me. She's a vocalist teacher who teaches you how to scream like on pitch safely, without like harming your vocal cords. So I went into that. I got really heavily into that, and I went, and that was when I was in Anoxic, and I screamed my head off. Whenever we had band rehearsal, people thought that there was probably a murder happening in the basement. I don't know.
So those punk rockers again.
Yeah, and then I got out of music for a while, and I came out to the LA area. I went to the Art Institute and did their film program, that kind of thing. So I actually ended up going to two film schools. I went to Lansing Community College in Lansing, Michigan, and then several years later, I attended the Art Institute in Santa Monica. And then that's when I kind of started Miz.44. Well, actually, Miz.44 actually happened more like a little bit after Letters to Sam, because I was living in the Long Beach area, and I answered an ad for a vocalist, and then we created Letters to Sam, and was in that
Letters
for a
to
few
Sam,
years.
Would that be Son of Sam? Letters to
It is, yeah. We had songs like To Be.
That's some dark shit, Michelle.
It is. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was just sending some of the music.
Oh, well, you heard of the Dear John letter. I've heard of that. Everybody's heard of the Dear John letter, but Dear Sam. Real quick in the chat, they're bringing up, we're still talking a little bit about V. And we're talking about that would be Dominique Dunn that was murdered on that. She played on V, and she was doing Poltergeist, and she got murdered. That was really bad. Yeah. Hey Hobbs, glad you're here, buddy. Hopefully you're feeling better. We're talking to our friend Michelle Lynn Blasky, and we're having a hell of a time. This is a lot of fun tonight. Boy, I needed this today. This has been absolutely a joy. All right, so Son of Sam. Now Miz.44. Now that's a duel, right? It's just you and one other person.
The Miz.44 is a spinoff of Mr.44, which is the Son of Sam killer from Letters to Sam.
Right.
So,
okay. I was actually thinking like, what she does a duel. It's sort of like a Spinanes, and I'm going like, I don't know if they know who Spinanes are. I might have to rethink that. You remember the Spinanes? I'm sure.
I don't.
What?
No.
The Spinanes from Washington? They were great. So,
what kind of music is it?
It was more sweater rock, more sweater.
Sweater rock.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Like college.
Ah, got it.
They put out some records on Sub Pop.
Cool.
You do know what Sub Pop is. Don't age me.
Soft pop, yeah.
Sub Pop.
Sub Pop. Yeah,
where
sure.
Nirvana came out, and
Yeah.
you're just saying that I'm old.
No,
I'm
no,
old.
no. Well, Nirvana is more like grunge, kind of.
Yeah, but they came out on Sub Pop sort of discovered them all. They discovered there's so many great bands came out on that label. They're still active. They're still active. They still put out records for people. But back in the mid '90s, early '90s, mid '90s, they were just white hot. Everything they touched was turning into something big.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yes, definitely. Robert Englund got his start on V. Yep, that's right. Not only did Michael Ironside get his start, but so did Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, what's up, Steven? Steven Chang.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now, are you still in California when you're? So you're in California. You start Miz.44. And is that when you started screenwriting as well, or had you?
Yes. I mean, I've always been kind of screenwriting like throughout my entire life, but yeah, I mean, that was when I got more heavily into it.
Okay. What was that like? I mean, did you have there's anybody there that led your way? Was there any inspiration for you, or did you just have to do it by hunt and peck, by trial and error?
Well, I have to say that the dream that I had about, the third channel, I mean, that pretty much, set a lot of stuff off, because I kind of went through a period of like this like latent kind of like, I don't really know what I want to do kind of thing. And then all of a sudden the light bulb kind of went on, and I started getting into other practices like transcendental meditation, which David Lynch is really big on, and I'm a really big David Lynch fan. So I started getting into that, and that kind of like opened up the light bulb, kind of came on for me. So I'd have to say like a lot of that stuff is a little bit like influenced by that kind of thing, because it kind of like brought it out. And when you're trying to like write stuff and you're a writer, and you're trying to put pieces and things together, that sometimes those pieces don't really connect and they don't really fit. But if you can kind of if you can get your mind in a place where you're kind of connected, and what's the word I'm looking for? They seem to like flow easier when you're in like a meditative state, and because you quiet your mind, things of that nature. And I mean, hey, it works for David Lynch. Look at the stuff. I mean, seriously. But
so you've been doing meditation, it soothes your mind, it clears your mind,
yeah.
and allows
all the ideas are there,
So when you write, do you like to write in private by yourself?
Or, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be against writing with other people. It's just it's more like a solitary thing. So
yeah, I can see that.
Especially when you're like trying to. There was a part in the third channel that I couldn't get my mind around it. It was like okay, I know I want this part in the beginning and I want this part after it, but those two parts aren't going to go together. Like, how am I going to get that to work? And I sat in meditation for like hours and hours. I think I sat like a couple different settings, and then finally one night it came to you. It came to me. It was like, oh my gosh, that is it. And I got up and I wrote it down, and that scene was finished.
That is so cool. And Anthony is sitting there saying he waiting to see the third channel. Yeah, so when you said it's in post-production, so where are we at as far as it coming out to the public? Are we going to be? Is it going to come out in 2020?
I was actually going to make that announcement on your show.
Oh, awesome! You can do that
because there is a date that I have been toying around with, and I finally got the date. And the date is also something that is mentioned in the original Halloween 3.
Oh boy, here we go, boys and girls. This is what you get when you tune into 8 Questions with.
I'm going to try to draw it out, and I will write it down, and I will show the audience.
We should have the whole chat type in Silver Shamrock inside the chat. So everybody should type in the Silver Shamrock just for fun.
All right. Oops. I just messed that up. I'm gonna get all like fancy and creative here.
You know, we could not have practiced that any better if we had tried.
No.
That is amazing.
All right.
If you're new to my channel, my YouTube channel, please consider giving us a subscription. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we do these shows quite a bit. So we'd love to see you here. Everybody who's new would love to see you here. If you do hit the subscription button, let me know in the comments down below, and I will definitely come by and repay the favor. I really appreciate that.
Oh, that didn't work out either. Man, I'm having a hard time drawing on camera. It's like.
But you're doing an excellent job of tossing the paper.
I try.
So yes.
Let's just.
We're applauding you.
Thank you. I am almost done.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate that. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. I can't wait. I'm waiting for. I can't wait to interview Amy.
You're going to interview Amy Crabtree?
Yeah. Yep.
Really?
Yeah. When the time's right. And yep. I have a slot saved for her. Anytime that she tells me that she's ready to talk, it's going to happen.
Awesome. Well, I'll watch that. Okay.
Studios and Twisted Creations subscribe. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I appreciate that. That is amazing. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
So I'm ready. It's probably going to appear backwards on your screen, but right in the very beginning of Halloween 3, and we see Ari Grimbridge running down the road. There is a specific date, and that date is the same date that the third channel is going to be released this year, 2023, and that date is, drum roll.
I don't know if you hear.
October the 23rd.
Oh my God! It's during the Spooktacular. Oh, that is too good. Wow! During the Spooktacular, the master of the Spooktacular happens to be in the chat. That's Hobbs Hoare. He takes over October, runs the Spooktacular. We got to have you come back for that, for the Spooktacular. Okay. Oh my gosh! Yes, you got to come back when it comes out, and for the Spooktacular. That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, because you have to, because the Spooktacular, it's a huge thing in our community. We get together, we do different shows, we watch alongs, we do theme nights, we do a whole for the whole month. And so October 23rd, we'll probably we'll see what day it falls on, and we'll go ahead and have you come out and hang out with us, and we're going to talk about the third channel. Oh, that is so cool. I could not have asked for a better date.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Well, yeah, just watch Halloween 3. It's right there. See, I did that little.
Yes, that's right. But I have not seen Halloween 3 for a minute, so I have to admit I've not. So I don't have the date in the back of my head. Though I do have the Humanoids of the Deep, so I can't explain myself. I don't know how my brain works. I don't know the date in Halloween 3, but I do know about V and Humanoids of the Deep.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I mean, that's a tidbit that I didn't know.
Well, yeah, oh my gosh. So tell us, let's talk a little bit about your music. I want to talk a little bit about your music.
Sure.
So now, are you Miz.44? Is that are you guys? Is it emo core, or is it just because two men, or is it more?
It's just myself. It's like a solo thing.
Okay.
You know, I haven't really gotten. I've kind of gotten away from it. It's both the name of the band that I do as a solo project, and it's also the name of the art company that I do because I do art. And it's pretty much like all Miz.44 like art influence kind of thing.
What type of art do you do?
I can show you some of my artwork, but
we would love to see your art.
If I have it around,
we would love to see it. We are very artist friendly here on 8 Questions with.
And I know I have it. I have it on my Facebook too. But let's see if I can find something. Okay, this is one thing I can show. It's kind of weird, obscure kind of thing, but
what? No way. What the? If he showed that to some kids, that would traumatize them forever.
Good.
My God, look at that! You would scare the poo out of them.
And here's
I got my eye on you.
Here's like a evil Disney character.
What are you feeling about the what do you think? What's your opinion about the Disney? Some of the Disney properties are dropping into the public domain. Whereas before,
you mean like Winnie the Pooh kind of stuff?
Right. Is that something?
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how they didn't want to just go down to the U.S. Copyright Office and just pay another $20 for another.
I don't think they could. I don't
know. This is weird. Yeah. Oh, this is a favorite of mine. This is this goes into the whole music thing, I guess you could say, because this is.
Okay. It's Sam.
Nope.
No, is that?
It's the other serial killer.
Yeah, Richard.
The Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez.
Yes.
Richard Ramirez.
That guy was evil as evil is.
I know. Let's see, what else do I have in here? See if I have anything good.
Oh, well, I was going to mention about the Disney properties falling into public domain. Would that be something that you would be considered after you release the third channel? Is that something you would actually consider doing? Because now you can make money.
Like
like a Winnie the Pooh venture. You don't have to worry about paying anybody anything.
I don't really get the whole. I saw the Winnie the Pooh movie in the movie theater, and I didn't really.
Yeah, it looked like that movie. Honestly, that movie looked like it got made for about $216.
More like the 16 part of it just moved the decimal point a few.
I meant.
And this is another thing. This is actually one of the Letters to Sam album covers for Prep Massacre. And now that we're talking about Disney.
Oh, now how many albums did Miz.44 release, or Letters to Sam? Did you
Letters to Sam? We only really got like one that we did, that we worked on, and we did. And it's not even really. I think we called it Death of the American Family or something like that. It's not really. There were a lot of things we wanted to do in Letter to Sam, but it kind of had like a premature end, I guess you could say.
So now you just perform by yourself then, right? I mean, do you go out? Do you do open mics or?
I don't. I mean, I've never really done the whole open mic thing. It's kind of like a cattle call. It's like whoever is there is gonna. They're not coming to see you. They're just coming to see like whatever.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, but you're in Texas, so you how far away from Austin are you?
I want to say maybe like almost an hour and a half, I think.
It's not that far away.
Not too
You
far.
could definitely get gigs there. That's for sure.
Yeah, if I
Um,
decided to put like a group together, which I have kind of like toyed around with.
hmm Music, music is calling to you. Let's see. One-eyed Donald. Yes, that is creepy as hell. That would be
One
fun
eye.
to see.
That's what I called it, is one-eyed dawdle. Actually,
Yeah.
that's what it's called.
Um,
That's funny that somebody said that. Amy said that.
that is.
Amy knows me really well.
Professor asks, question, is Miz.44 name have any relation to the amazing Miz.45 movie? No, Miz.44 is a ode to David Berkowitz, also known the Son of Sam.
Mhm.
Man,
The
I was only
44 caliber killer.
I was 13 years old when that came out. My mom got me a year subscription of Time magazine, and that was
Mm.
all over. Everybody was
Oh
talking about the Son of
yeah.
Sam, the Summer of Sam,
Hmm.
and the movie Maniac that was came out was also based on the Son of Sam killer. Yeah, crazy, crazy. Isn't it weird how we always make movies about our mass killers like that?
I know
It's sort of twisted, isn't it?
it is, but I think especially like the American public has like a fascination with that kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's just some little dark corner in the universe that will always have questions about, like, how did the person that we knew down the street or next door become this? you
The
know.
thing is, though, it used to be more of a mystery. Now it's more of a normal thing.
Oh
Before it'd be
yeah.
like when something would happen, we would just all sit there and go like, "How the hell did it happen?" Now when it
Right.
happens, never like, "Why didn't it happen sooner?"
And now it's like it's not really that much of a mystery. It's like, well, how did she end up dead? Well, she met him on the internet.
Yeah. Are you in the middle of right now? Are you in? I mean, do you right now before the third channel is out? Are you using this time between then and then to either work on another film or work on some music, art? What are you doing between now and October 23rd?
Editing.
Oh,
Editing. I'm editing right now, and there's quite a bit of CG stuff that we are going to send out to the CG person. Frank is working on that for us. And there's a couple more scenes I need to get in the can. There's a couple more actresses that need to get their footage to me that need to go in. And there's a couple other scenes I need to do outside of that as well, and some things that kind of need to be done to put it all together. But other than that, I'm just working on editing and getting it all done and making sure it's polished. Gonna have to work on the sound too. So I was listening to the sound the other day, and I was like, oh, that could be. I need to work on that. So
always a work in progress. I have a
it is.
feeling I'm going to ask this question here. I know you mentioned you meditate, but
Mhm.
I still have a feeling that you're going to. I already have a feeling I know what the answer is, but I'm going to ask this anyway. But what does Michelle Lynn do when she's not making art or movies or music?
Working. Working and living my life, which goes back to making life art and imitating life. And because the life you lead, you have to write about the stuff you know. And I have a very interesting experience with certain things, and not certain things, just like everything, that I just like to experience things and put that into writing. So
Okay, so are you thinking about writing a book or something like that? Is that something that's in the back of your head?
I wouldn't really say a book. I mean, we're still talking about like, screenplays that are translated for the screen.
Okay, okay. What are you working on right now? I mean, you said mentioned editing, but I know that you can't edit all the time. And
Right.
I have an observation. I want to hear your what your opinion about this is,
Sure.
because you're both a director and a screenwriter. Do you think directors make better editors than editors?
I have to say, It depends. It depends because there's sometimes it's a good idea to hand it off to somebody else so that they can take a look at your work and see how it should be edited versus you are the director, you are the one that funded this film for the most part, you are the one that put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and you just don't want to end up with footage on the cutting room floor. And sometimes it's best to have new eyes on a project that are fresh. So there are some times where there's things where I'll shoot and I'll not shoot, but I will edit something and I will bring it to a couple of our producers. Like I'll bring it to Amy Crabtree or bring it to Steve Merlo and say, well, hey, what do you think of this edit? You know, do you think this should come in first? And how would you? And they'll make suggestions. So it's sometimes really a good idea to have fresh eyes on the project.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, I agree. I just like the idea, more and more. I like the idea. I have a friend who's a director and also an editor as well. And I just think, man, that's the best of both worlds. You got someone who's a crackerjack editor, but he's also a film director. So he's going to be able to see it through your eyes, like this is my vision. And, where a lot of studios or producers, they don't see that because they haven't directed. A director can understand what you're trying to do, and they're probably willing to go along with what you want as far as cuts go, as far as editing go. That's how I see it. I just feel, you got some people that's all they do is just edit, and that's wonderful. They got there because they're really good at it.
Right.
I just feel having a direct, because I've been hearing this more and more, where there's more and more directors that are going into the editing bay. And to me, I just think that produces a better movie because they're looking at both through editor eyes and directing eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it's just adds a little bit more edge to your finished movie.
And you're really the only person who knows how it's really all supposed to fit together. If you hand it off to somebody else, they might miss something.
Right. And you can communicate with the director, you can sit there and say, this is what I try to do in this shot. They're going to understand that. They're going to sit there and go, like, yeah, I get that. Whereas the editor is like, okay.
If they're good, they'll work with you. If they're good at taking that,
that direction.
Mm-hmm.
This has been really exciting. I've had a blast here. This has been a lot of fun.
Me as well. You're a good interviewer.
I'm going to actually turn it over to the chat real quick and see if they want to throw you some questions. Does anybody want to ask? Anybody want to ask Michelle any questions? I'm sure there's some. I'm sure there's some people who are going to ask some questions. So please drop some questions here. That'll be awesome. I want to give a shout out to our buddy Steven. I'm sure that he's still rocking it over with Brett Kelly. Hope that interview was going well. Yeah, he he made a movie called Ouija Shark for $216 Canadian.
How many? How much money?
$216 Canadian.
200?
$216 Canadian. He made Ouija Shark.
Is it? Did it get picked up by a distributor or anything?
It did. It got picked up by Wild Eye.
Cool.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really great to hear.
So, as a matter of fact, he just walked in. Our other fellow interviewer, Steven, just came in. Says that he ended it. It went well. Of course, it went well. Of course, it went well. I'm sure you rocked it out. I'm just glad everybody was here for me tonight. I really thought everything dashing over to watch Brett Kelly because he's such a cult. He's such a cult movie icon. So that's fun. I do. What kind of movies do you like to watch now? And before you watched, Halloween, and has your preference ever has changed as you gotten older? Do you still like watching slasher films or supernatural horror? What floats your boat as far as horror movies go?
Oh man, I like binge watching stuff too. I mean, like I like watching certain things. But I mean, I'm pretty much open to like whatever if it's good. Um, I mean, I still, have a preference for that type of thing too, with like the slasher, anything that kind of like gets your blood moving and gets you pumped up.
Wow. Okay, we got a lot. We got a lot coming back here.
Okay.
Murillo just says he says many directors, at least the ones that he knows personally, go into editing because of lack of money to hire a good one.
That's
Uh,
true.
I,
That is true.
I'm into this pickle. No money, but someone's got to do it. Let's see. Stevens. Oh, all right. I'll ask that question, Steven. All right. Yeah.
Amy
So,
says Salem. Yes, I was going to mention Salem. I love Salem.
Steven wants to know The Shining, masterpiece or cheetah poo?
Oh my God, masterpiece. Hello.
Oh,
Why would you say cheetah?
oh, cheetah poo. Oh
Ooh.
man. Oh, okay. Well, the professor will be happy to hear that. Uh, I'm not a Shining fan. Okay. So he's asking that question now. Everybody knows I'm not a Shining fan. I'm not a Shining fan. Okay.
Okay.
Professor Macabro or Professor Spooky, as I just learned. Who wins in a fight? Jason, the human version, Michael, or Leatherface?
I would have to say Michael because he's out of those three, he is the one that has like the more supernatural thing. I
Yeah.
mean, Jason's like, well, yeah, he's come back and whatever, but you don't really get that whole lore, that you get
No,
with
it's funny you mentioned that too, Michelle, because we had Sandy Johnson on a while ago, and we were talking about Halloween '78, and I asked her that. I asked her, is he human or is he supernatural? And she says he's both. And it makes sense, because
that's
we see
true.
him, we saw him get shot 6 times.
I shot him in the heart.
I saw him 6 times. Yeah, at the same time, we see him get poked
Now I
in the
want to go
eye.
watch that.
He gets poked in the eye, and that's the end of his world.
Right.
It was like, which way do we go with that? Is he badass or is he just a wimp? I think that I think, but now if Jason's his supernatural form, I would change my vote on that. I think Jason in his supernatural form is probably the most unstoppable.
Yeah, Jason is definitely a lot more like hulkier and bigger than Michael. So I would have to maybe go with you on that as well.
Especially the Jason X, the Jason X version, where it comes back as Uber Jason. They can't. You're not going to be able to stop that.
Right.
Amy, see. Okay. Murillo asked a question for you. I'm getting into making short movies, and I'm going to have to edit them all too. No money, only a camera and clay monsters.
Ooh.
Loving this already. I know it's stupid, but how the hell should I begin to study editing, Michelle?
To study editing. Well, basically, editing is just a form of putting pieces in a readable or to have an understanding of what happens in your screen, on what happens on the screen.
Would you recommend a storyboard for Murillo?
I mean, I would recommend pretty much anything that you can get your hands on that would be helpful to you. Storyboards do work. A lot of times we actually paid a storyboard artist for Third Channel, but we didn't even really use a storyboard. We kind of like just went at it without actually doing the story, without using it. But it was still a good idea to have it.
Would you use one in the future?
I think if I worked a little bit more closely with a cinematographer, I probably would.
Okay.
it depends. But a lot of our shots were just kind of like, I don't want to say that they were simple, but we were really on a time stretch there. So, but yeah, I mean, in terms of editing, I would say, what advice would I give you? I would say probably, I mean, there are a lot of like YouTube videos and things like that, but editing you should kind of like develop that eye yourself kind of thing, where you, if you have an idea for where something comes in, where you want to cut, don't be afraid to let a scene go, like to hold a shot. A lot of times I see films, like even on big budget films, I'll be like, oh, I'm watching this film, and then like they have a beautiful shot. They have a beautiful shot of whatever it is, and then they cut like too early. And I'm like they set that stuff up. I mean, how come you didn't, so to me, editing is about timing. Like it's all about timing, and there's a pace to it. If you don't follow the pace and you just start putting things there that don't belong there because you think that they should go there, but you're wondering like, how do I put that there? It may or may not work, but don't be afraid to let a scene go. Like to just, have that person, staring out the window for a couple extra seconds, or, find your own like editing niche. Find out what works best for you, I would have to say.
I think my 2 cents, I'm not a filmmaker, but my 2 cents in talking to, dozens and dozens of filmmakers is I for at least when you're first starting out, I definitely think that the storyboard is the way to go. I get that a lot. A lot of people say, if I see it, if I can visualize it on the board, it helps me stay in trail. It helps me stay on pace. I can see what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think that would help you when it comes down to editing. That makes you, because you go back to the scene that you storyboarded, and you want to make sure that like you said that staring out the window for an extra 3 or 4 heartbeats. And you see that, and you can sit there and you can make small notes, like hold scene, hold it here for 4 seconds or 6 seconds, whatever. I do think storyboard is and I also think short film too is the best way to become a filmmaker. I'm a big fan. I did not know that. I didn't even think about YouTube. I don't know. I never even thought about that. I never thought about anybody actually going up there and giving lessons on how to edit.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they do a little bit with different programs to show you how to get around, some editing programs. But for me, I guess, the storyboard is more like post-production rather than like editing. Once you get the film footage in the can and you're ready to edit, you may not have that same like setup that you had drawn out for like the establishing shot or something. You may not have even gotten the establishing shot. And when you go back to try to edit it and looking at the storyboard and you're like, oh, well, we don't even have that. That's why I was saying it's a little bit better to edit with what you've got. To assemble them in the way that you think that it should be. Now, I mean, a lot of the ways that people can edit, there's definitely, you can take one film and you can edit it several different ways. I mean, you can edit it like linearly, or you can edit it so that
digital cameras have just opened up the world for filmmakers. Exactly. Before when you shot on film,
you can show the beginning at the end and like backtrack it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I just think the old days where people were using film, it'll be like you just couldn't go back there and like, oh, you throw another reel in there. we'll cut that, because it was so freaking expensive. Digital cameras have really evened the playing field, really even playing the even
And
field.
I would actually say something too, to who had that question? Murillo. I would have to say too that I would try editing something a couple different ways, because way back in the day when I first started out editing, I mean, I actually shot 16 millimeter, and if you cut something, you cut it. It's cut. If you want to put it back together, you got to splice it back together. So, I mean, we live in the digital age where you can go back and you can cut something differently and then see how it flows. And I would say give yourself time. Like when you edit something, sit down, edit it the way that you think it should be, get up, go do something, sit back down, look at it again, get some fresh eyes on it, and then see what needs to be tweaked. It's your vision ultimately. So
that's the most important thing. It's your vision. That's a great answer, Michelle. I mean, thank you for doing that. Thank you for answering Murillo's question.
Well, thank you for asking it. So.
Let's see. Amy wants to throw in Freddie in there. Well, we already know Freddie was in there and he lost his head. So
Freddie, I would say, would probably kick Michael's ass, to be honest with you, because Freddie can get into Michael's dreams, and then it would just be really all over the place.
See, Morello says, thank you for your point of view, Michelle.
You're very welcome, Morello.
Yeah, that's awesome. And he says maybe he's gonna he says maybe I'm gonna do a storyboard. I would, that's just my 2 cents from what I've talked to directors. I find that storyboard, I find when they tell me they do storyboards, it seems to make their story flow a little bit better. That's just my 2 cents, but Michelle's the pro here. Well, I tell you what, I have kept you way beyond my time, but we had much fun. We had so much fun. I'm so happy you came out and hung out with us. The third channel coming out October 23 during the month of Spectacular, October. Can't wait for that. So we'll be looking forward to that. We'll have you come back and hang out with us. Maybe even do a watch along. If that would be really kick ass. Thank you so much for coming out and hanging with us on a Friday. I didn't even get a chance to let everybody know what's coming up. I got 2 shows coming up on Monday. We got Julie Michaels will be with us. She starred in Roadhouse, and she's a stunt woman personified. She also starred as Agent Marcus and Jason Goes to Hell, and she will be our special guest on Monday. Along with our special co-host, Hobbs Horde will be with us. That's right, the king of the spectacular. Tuesday, we will be back with Todd Strange, bassist Todd Strange from the band Crowbar and Down. And also the new supergroup put together called I Am. And he will be with us on Tuesday, the 23rd at 8 o'clock. We'll be joined by special co-host Jonas from the Friendly Men. So that's what's coming up the next 2 days next week. Thank you so much again, Michelle Lynn. This has been absolutely amazing. Wow, everybody in the chat, thank you guys so much. Amy and Steven and Jennifer and Morello and the professor, Echo, Hobbs, anybody else I missed. I know Jamie was in here. Steven, thank you guys so much. Stay right where you're at, Michelle. I'm going to say goodnight to the chat. And I will see you guys I'll see you guys Monday night at 8 o'clock for Julie Michaels. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.